residing outside India. Hence, this series of webinar is very significant because by this webinar, we are going to understand how Ramayana has been a very powerful and effective tool to connect Indian diaspora with India. As we all know, in Indian literature, Ramayana and Mahabharata are the two great classics which gave a universal dimension to the Indian cultural identity. They transcended the geographical boundaries and reached far off countries. Yet, the impact of Ramayana has been much deeper and more everlasting. In the 19th century, the indentured laborers, Girmitiya Mazdoor, who migrated to the countries like Mauritius, South Africa, Guyana, Fiji, Suriname, Trinidad, and Tobago, took the Ramcharitmanas, Ramkatha, a version of Ramayana, written by Goswami Tulsidas in Awadhi, the language of masses. In the 20th century, intellectuals, professionals, and businessmen who settled down in Europe, America, Canada, Australia, and many other countries introduced this Ram Katha and Ramcharitmanas over there. The ideals, values, and principles depicted in Ram Katha by the characters of Sri Ram, Mata Sita, Lakshman ji, Bharat ji, Hanuman ji, and other great characters influenced the basic desires, ambitions, aspirations, ideas, and aims of the residents of those countries. The indentured laborers, while undergoing physical hardships, attained moral and spiritual strength from this great epic. History of the sufferings and miseries of Indian laborers in all these countries like Mauritius, South Africa, etc., is nearly the same. They not only sustain themselves, but also sustain their language and culture through Ramakatha. That is why Ramayana symbolizes a bridge to connect themselves to India and Indian culture. As you know, I'm not the main speaker of today, so I will not go in much details. Our scholars of South Africa, who are great intellectuals and devoted to Ramayana and Indian culture, are connected online to enlighten us. I'm very, very thankful to them. And I'm especially thankful to my dear friend, Professor Usha Shukla, who, on my request, took the initiative to invite Dr. Lokesh Maharaj and Mr. Rohit Maharaj to participate in today's webinar. I'm really thankful, Professor Lokesh ji and Mr. Rohit ji, that though the invitation did not come from our side, still you agreed to participate in this seminar. I'm very sure that we all will benefit a lot by their enriching experiences. The next webinar will take place most probably in 2 months' time and will be based on Trinidad and Tobago. Through this series, we will make a humble effort to trace the journey, role, and contribution of Ramayana in promotion and propagation of Indian culture in the countries of Indian diaspora. And we will be able to understand how Ramayana is a Vaishvik Granth. It is not a, an epic confined only in the boundaries of India, but it has gone far off and it is in our breath. Jai Siya Ram, thank you very much. And we are going to listen to our great scholars of today. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arunji, for your insights on today's webinar and emphasizing upon the relevancy of the topic. You reminded us all how the Indian diaspora entered in South Africa by the travel of Mahatma Gandhiji. You even pointed out how the Indian immigrants brought along with them the Ramcharitmanas with them, and the teachings and values incorporated therein helped them to face all the difficulties. Indeed, Ramayana is a global granth, how we say it, an epic. Thank you again, Dr. Vinu Arunji. Dear participants, as usual, I shall moderate today's webinar, and it is a humble request to you all, to all the speakers, to kindly respect the allotted time given for their respective expose. Any related question from the participants can be privately messaged to me, and same will be conveyed to the respective speakers. Please mute yourselves while the speakers are speaking. So let us start today's webinar. We are fortunate enough to have Mrs. Sunita Pahuja ji among us in today's webinar. Sunita ji, आपका स्वागत है. You are warmly welcomed, Pahuja ji. Friends, Mrs. Sunita Pahuja ji presently serving as the Second Secretary for Hindi and Culture Department in the High Commission of India, Mauritius, and has worked and contributed for Hindi language for the past 35 years in various ministries of the Indian government. Pahuja ji has been designated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to serve as the Second Secretary for Hindi and Culture in the High Commission of India, established in countries like Trinidad, Tobago, and Caribbean countries since 2010 to 2013. As and when her poems and articles are published in several magazines. I would now like to invite Mrs. Pahuja to give her views upon today's topic and enlighten us all. Mrs. Sunita Pahuja ji, please.
Thank you, Salilji. Thanks a lot. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, of course. Go on.
Yeah. And dear Dr. Vinu Arunji, all our distinguished guests from South Africa, we have amongst us Dr. Usha Shukla ji, Dr. Lokesh Maharaj ji, and Dr. Rohit Maharaj ji, and all our friends who have joined us through the social media. Very warm welcome and greetings to all. I may not be that having that authority to speak on Ramayana, but thanks for inviting me, Dr. Vinuji. I wish you all a very happy New Year, Republic Day, we just celebrated on my behalf, as well as on behalf of our High Commission of India and Mauritius and the High Commissioner, Mrs. K. Nandini Singlaji. Thanks for inviting me and making a part of us of this important series of event rather. Just as Dr. Vinuji said, it's based on the theme that the Ramayana is a cultural bridge between India and those Indians residing in any part of the world. So we know all about Ramayana, and you would be speaking from a South African point of view. But personally, I feel that it not only connects Indians to India, but it also somehow connects, or in every manner rather, not somehow, it connects ourselves to ourselves. Like as a human, we are connected to our inner self, to our soul through Ramayana, because the way it guides, if we follow the path, treat those words in Ramayana, if we take some lessons from it, then we'll see that it basically teaches us the art of living. And if we follow the path shown by Ramayana, then I think our soul goes for liberation automatically. We don't have to make any other efforts other than following the path of this. And I think the most important thing that Ramayana, in the very beginning, we see that Dashrath, he postpones only for one day the Abhishek of Rama. And we see that that tomorrow never comes for him. So I think we should remember that we should never try to postpone any auspicious thing and do the work whenever it is needed. As we say, Kal kare so aaj kare so ab. So we never know of tomorrow. And this thing has been taught to us by Corona very brutally, that time is not in our hands. So, also it teaches us that although life is full of sorrows, but I feel all other sorrows are momentary and they are a passing phase in our life. The only two sorrows which are truly there and we have to face them is life and death. The cycle of life and death brings us the most sufferings. So what we have to do is to make us, and I think God has given us this human birth. In human birth only we can get out of this cycle by making us worthy, ourselves worthy of meeting God, or at least facing God, or at least knowing Him. So this way we can liberate our soul from this painful cycle of birth and death. And this we should do at the earliest, because as we say, as our Hindu philosophy uh, says about vanprasth at the age of after the age of 50. So 51 we should go for vanprasth. And of course that doesn't mean abandoning life and going to the jungles or staying out of the house, but rather I personally feel it is we have to live among our family, our friends, so that whatever karmas we have, we get them balanced. And I was just thinking about the age of 51. So whether we speak it in English 51 or we say 51, it ends with one. So it has to go that we should we should be detached. Basically, going to one means we should live in our family. We should do all our duties, but then be detached from the results, as it is said in Gita. So, story of Rama basically, story of Ramayana basically. Throws light on each and every aspect of life, being an ideal wife, being an ideal husband, being an ideal king or brother or sevak like Hanuman. So that way, like even if we try to connect our youth to these to this story, and they learn how to live life properly, they would not be misguided and they would not be led towards or allured by maybe drugs or any other illusions they have in these days. So even like the story is not merely a story, but it has a philosophical and spiritual significance also. As we all know, you all are scholars and must be knowing that Ra means the light and Ma is soul. So the soul, the light within the soul, the how our light, how our soul gets enlightened through this story. And Dashrath is the symbol of like five sense organs and five action indriyas, the karma indriya. And maybe he symbolizes the chariot of 10 horses. And Kaushalya is like, it symbolizes the skill. So Ram could be born out of a rider of 10 chariots, not by a normal person. And so he has his greatness in that. And Ayodhya, he was born in Ayodhya. Ayodhya means there is no yuddha there. It is like maybe like when our mind is without conflict, there is no conflict. We are at peace with ourselves. Then only we can say we can attain or achieve Ram or be close to Ram. That is what when when we are at rest, we say Aram aa gaya. Because हमें Ram जब मिल जाता है, then we say कि आराम आया. So we can treat that Ram, we can think like Ram is like soul, Sita is like mind, Lakshman is awareness, and Ravan is ego. So when mind, like Sita, is stolen by ego or Ravan, the like soul becomes restless, that is Ram, and on its own it cannot reach the mind. So it has to take the help of Pran, that is Hanuman, and Lakshman, that is awareness. And then the disturbance, the trouble, the deceitment caused by ego goes away. And there are arrows of dharma and adharma, and there's a war going between ego and mind, ego and soul. But then ultimately, it is the ego is destroyed, and the soul wins, because then we get the peace of mind. And the story of Ram, like we can say, uh, it is actually being enacted in ourselves, inside our body, inside our mind, inside our soul, we can say. And it's a continuous war going on inside. And it is up to us whether we let the Ram inside us win, or the Ravan let win. So it's all life and different phases. Sometimes ego become strong, and sometimes our soul is able to control everything. So I won't speak much. There are very great scholars amongst us. We would like to hear to them, listen to them. And I would just conclude by saying that hui hai wahi jo Ram rachi rakha. And in this, I find the like motto of life, or I should say the way we should live our life is accept whatever comes our way. And here I accept means accept, not tolerate, because even when we tolerate means we are forcing ourselves. When we accept and accept with smile, I think life becomes very easy, and that is where our purpose lies. We can have peace, we can have anand, and this can lead us to paramanand if we take whatever comes our way thinking that it has been given to us by Lord, and it was made to happen like that. So accepting things makes our lives easy. Thank you so much. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. And thank you all the participants for making this webinar a success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pahujaji, for your enlightened views. You outlined how the Ramayana is an art of living. You pointed out how one can liberate oneself from the cycle of birth and death. The Ramayana in itself is a manual through which any human being can enlighten himself or herself. You even highlighted the parables used for the characters of the Ramayana by several illustrations. Indeed, you gave a philosophical aspect of the Ramayana, definitely one who accepts Ram and his teachings, then life definitely becomes easy. Thank you a lot, Pahujaji, for your views. And then now we shall now move forward with the webinar. On behalf of the Ramayana Center and all the participants, I extend my gratitude towards you for your invaluable views on today's topic and the High Commission of India, Mauritius, to always have an ear to the projects planned for the betterment of the Indian diaspora in Mauritius and around the world, be it Hindi language or culture. Thank you again, Pahujaji. Our next speaker for the theme is Pandit Rohit Maharaj Ji. Pranam Panditji. Pandit Rohit Maharaj Ji is an active member of Sri Sanatan Dharm Sabha, South Africa, Purohit Council. He has mastered the field of Karmkand under the guidance of late Pandit R.R. Maharaj, Junior and Senior, and H.R. Maharaj. Pandit Rohit Maharaj Ji is an ardent and dedicated practitioner of Karmkand and is always ever ready to help the whole community at large. Pandit Rohit Maharaj Ji shall shed light on how Parakram means bravery in the Ramayana serves as a bridge connecting the Indian diaspora to India. Pandit Rohit Maharaj Ji, आपका स्वागत है. Please, I leave the platform to you.
अच्छा, जय श्री राम, सबको मेरा प्रणाम और नमस्कार. I was actually hoping that my elder sister Usha ji would go first, or at least Dr. Lokesh, because they are more experienced in this. I'm going to look pretty silly once they've presented after me, but ye Ram ke liye hai to, because it is Ramayana, I'll embarrass myself. Not a problem. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm honored. I honestly don't think I'm worthy of it when I see the notable names on the list of participants. But I will do my best. I will try my best. See, Ramayana is so popular for many reasons. One of the reasons is that it brings out many social issues. It highlights many social issues. And these issues, by their very nature, are universal and timeless. Universal means it's not limited to India, and timeless means it's not limited to that age in which it happened. It is just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. And because the issues of the Ramayana are universal and timeless, it makes the Ramayana itself universal and timeless. But more importantly, it makes the Ramayana relevant. And it is this relevance I'm going to show through my presentation. It is this relevance that creates the bridge between India and the diaspora, whether it is Suriname, Mauritius, or South Africa. Now, because of time constraints, we can't look at all the issues of the Ramayana. So in this presentation, I will look at Parakram, that is bravery. The second thing is that in the Ramayana, the two characters who best personify this quality of Parakram is Ram and Hanuman. There are others as well, but the most popular ones are Ram and Hanuman. Now, it would be a straightforward, simple task to present a paper on Parakram as personified by Ram and Hanuman. Unfortunately for me, this has already been done by people who are better qualified than I am, who are more qualified than I am, and who are more capable than I am. Sants, Swamis, Mahatmas, Acharyas have written volumes on the bravery of Ram and Hanuman. I can't hope to match them, so I'm not even going to try. And therefore, when it came to looking at Parakram in the Ramayana, I've had to look at other characters. Now, I must clarify that when I'm using the term character, I'm not talking about a character in a novel or a play. I'm using the term character to refer to a person. And the first character that I want to look at is Ravan. Yes, you heard correctly, Ravan. Ravan is most popularly known as a villain in the epic Ramayana. Every Hindu, no matter how limited his or her knowledge of the Ramayana, knows the basic story that Ravan abducted Sita to Lanka. But what is not so well known is the valor, the bravery of this villain, the Parakram of Ravan. Let's look at the character Ravan. Firstly, he was given a boon by Brahmaji that God, Bhagwan, would not be able to defeat him. Now, this is not an ordinary achievement. You don't just get boons from Bhagwan, and such a boon is even more difficult. So it is not a small thing. He had to undergo strenuous tapasya, ghor tapasya, which is beyond the accomplishment of mere human beings. So the fact that he could fulfill this tapasya to qualify to get that boon sets him apart from the rest of us. He is also a great Shiv Bhakt. We know the story of him cutting up pieces of flesh and offering as ahuti when he ran out of samagri. We know that he is the creator of the Shiv Tandav Stotra. The Stotra cannot be the work of an ordinary human being. His knowledge of poetry and ethics that come out in this Stotra tell us that he is a very intelligent person. It also shows that his knowledge of Dharma and Shastra is beyond compare. This is the same Ravan who broke the peak of Kailash, the abode of Shiva. The same Ravan who defeated the Devas, conquered the three worlds, so much so that the Devas had to go to Bhagwan Vishnu for help and protection. The same Ravan who defeated Kuber, stole his Pushpak Viman, and usurped his kingdom of Lanka. The fact that Ravan is also a wise ruler is borne out by the fact that even after he stole Lanka from Kuber, Lanka continued to flourish and prosper under his rule. So it tells us that he was a wise ruler, even though he may have been an illegitimate ruler. His skill, his bravery as a warrior, his capabilities as a warrior and a general is obvious when one looks at his success in the battlefield and the caliber of the opponents he defeated. So the question then is, how did Ravan end up as the villain in this epic saga? Well, therein lies the lesson, one of many, of the Ramayana. Ravan, the Ramayana tells us, had 10 heads. Now, physiologically, this is impossible. So why does the Ramayana tell us something that cannot be true? Well, the answer lies not in the telling, but in our interpretation, or rather misinterpretation of what we have been told. In English, when someone has a huge ego, we say that he or she has a swollen head. And that is exactly what Ravan had. A swollen head, a huge ego. All his achievements on the battlefield and elsewhere gave him a huge ego. Hence, the 10 heads. And it is this ego that leads to him becoming a villain. It was his ego that told him he can have any woman he wants. After all, he had conquered the 3 worlds. He had conquered the Devas. Who would dare try to stop him? Not some ordinary human being called Ram. And didn't his boon from Brahma protect him? So all these depraved thoughts and depraved behavior, spurred on by his ego, this, motivated by his physical prowess, led to him becoming the villain. And Ravan is a warning to all of us. Wherever we may reside in the globe, whether we reside in India or Mauritius or South Africa or Suriname, that we must not become swollen-headed. We must not become arrogant because of our physical strength, because it is the same physical strength that will become the cause of our downfall. And when our physical strength, this physical strength based on parakram, or this parakram based on physical strength, wilts in the face of spiritual strength. So when we look at Ravan, his parakram was merely physical. We're going to see later in the Ramayana and the next character that I'm going to look at, how this physical strength is no match for spiritual strength. And the spiritual strength is no better projected than in Sita Mata. In the Ramayana, we are told that Ram was still a youth when he accompanied Rishi Vishwamitra to the forest to protect his yagya. It stands to reason then that Sita Mata herself was a youth at the time of the Swayamvar. A newly married Sita, barely settled into her new life in Ayodhya, is now being told that her husband will be leaving her to go to the forest for 14 years because of some promise that was made by her father-in-law some time ago. So Sita was given 2 options. She could go back to Mithila, her ancestral home, continue living the life of comfort and luxury as befitting a princess, surrounded by servants, handmaidens, and all the conveniences of the palace. Or she could continue living the life of a princess in Ayodhya, waiting for the return of her husband. But Sita chose a third option. She chose to leave behind all the trappings of the palace and the princess and accompany her husband to the forest for 14 years. She chose the known and unknown dangers and perils of the forest to the safety of the palace. She chose the life of hardship and difficulty in the forest to the comfort of the palace. A very brave choice indeed. Later in the Ashok Vatika, when she is a prisoner of Ravan, she again shows bravery and courage. In resisting the Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed used by Ravan to try and convince her to become his wife. None of the threats to her life, nor the promises of making her his main queen, could make her swerve from her dharma. The bravery shown by Sita, all alone in the den of thieves, surrounded by evil, gave her the courage to stand up to Ravan. After all the inducements failed and Ravan, Chandrahas in hand, surrounded by his soldiers, himself came to convince her to become his wife. She was able to protect herself with just a blade of grass. That Sita, a young lady all alone on foreign soil, far away from home, imprisoned on an island kingdom, ruled by the evil Ravan, was able to stand up for herself, defend herself, and keep Ravan at bay, is testimony not just to her physical strength, valor, courage, bravery, but more importantly, her spiritual strength, valor, courage, and bravery. More importantly, the lesson here is that bravery based on spiritual strength, bravery based on physical strength is no match for bravery that is based on spiritual strength. And we see this continue when we look at Vibhishan, who is the next character that I would want to look at. Now, Vibhishan is Ravan's younger brother. He owes his allegiance to Ravan, his loyalty to Ravan. But we see a completely opposite side. Going back to when we first set foot in Lanka, when Hanuman comes into Lanka, when he lands, he sees a building that is unusual for Lanka. This hut is unlike any other hut on the island. And we're told in the Ramcharitmanas, Bhavana ek puni dikha suhava hari mandiratah bhinna banava. That this hut had a Hari Mandir, Bhinna Banava, that made it different from all the others. We are also told in this Mandir, Rama Yudha Ankita Griha Sobha Barani Najai Navatulasi ka Vrindataha Deki Harasha Kapirai. On the walls of this hut were painted Rama Yudha, the weapons of Sri Ram. This gave Shobha to the Griha. This decorated the house. The Angan, or the yard, had a Navatulsi ka Vrind, a new Tulsi tree. Dekhi Harasha Kapirai. And when the Kapirai, when Hanuman saw this, he was very, very pleased because he recognized the house as belonging to one who shared the same love that he shared for Sri Ram. So, in the land of the Rakshasas, Hanuman realized that there was at least one good soul. Now, this incident reminds me of what happened in Europe during the Middle Ages, when people were forced to publicly declare that the earth was flat, even if they didn't believe it, and they knew that it was wrong, in order to save their lives. So they said what people wanted to hear, even though they knew themselves that it was wrong, just to save their lives. The same situation with Vibhishan. He's living in the kingdom of Ravan, the kingdom of evil. He is the king's younger brother. But he did not become a sycophant. He did not succumb to fear and was steadfast in his devotion to Sri Ram and the truth. Not only did he not succumb to fear, but he was not afraid to disagree with his brother, the king, in the open court. He was the only minister who reprimanded Ravan for kidnapping Sita and advised his brother to swallow his pride and return Sita with all respect, befitting her status as princess of Ayodhya. He also earned the wrath of Ravan by reminding him that, Ravan, you had the opportunity to win Sita's hand at the Swayamvar and you could not. He also went on to further remind Ravan that Ravan was unable to even lift the bow in the Swayamvar, let alone string it. Such is the parakram and bravery of Vibhishan that even when he is faced with such overwhelming odds, he is not afraid to stand up for the truth. Which reminds me of a saying that the truth is the truth, even if no one believes it. And a lie is still a lie, even if everyone believes it. It would have been so easy for Vibhishan to agree with all the other ministers who were supporting Ravan in what he had done. But Vibhishan's actions are a testimony to his bravery, that he is prepared to stand for the truth, even if he has to stand alone. I am going to rush through one more character because I know I've overstayed my welcome. I'm just going to look at Jatayu, who also represents bravery. Now, Jatayu was an ordinary vulture, Geet. He lived in the forest near Ram, Sita, and Lakshman. One day, he heard the screams of a woman, saw her being abducted in a vehicle, and without any thought to his own safety, flew to her rescue. He was not intimidated by the imposing figure of the abductor, Ravan, nor was he put off by the fact that the abductor was in a position of superiority, being in a vehicle, being better armed, etc. Although none of these fears entered his mind, we wouldn't blame him if they did, but they did not. All he thought about was the helpless lady who was being taken against her will, who had to be rescued. Again, the spiritual strength, parakram, and bravery transcends selfishness. In conclusion, I just want to say that the Ramayana is very clear in its message, that while physical strength may be admirable, it is spiritual strength. While physical strength may be admirable, it is spiritual strength that is the only truth, because it is eternal. In every instance where two characters had to face up to each other, be it Ravan and Ram, Sita and Ravan, or Vibhishan and Ravan, it is the one with the spiritual strength and bravery that has endured. This message is true across time and space. According to Shukla, 2013, the indentured laborers who came to India had very few possessions. Their spiritual and cultural wealth is what sustained them during the vicissitudes of indenture or girmit. She goes on to state that what is constant in all the colonies is the indomitable will of the people insofar as the maintenance of their religion and culture was concerned. The Ramayana has flowed from India in three streams: cultural to South and Southeast Asia, literary to the West, and spiritual to the Hindu diaspora throughout the world, beginning with the period of indenture. The social messages contained in the Ramayana is as true in India as it is in South Africa, Fiji, Suriname, Mauritius, or anywhere else that the Ramayana is sung. It was important in the Treta when it occurred. It is just as important today in the Kali Yuga, perhaps even more so. It has impacted not just on Indian thought, but on world thought, and continues to do so across the globe, bridging the divide between India and its diaspora throughout the world. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you for indulging me. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Pandit Rohit Maharajji. You pointed out how the concept of bravery, strength in the Ramayana through the different characters. You even highlighted how Ram and Hanuman symbolized bravery. We were unexpected when you said Ravana, but how you explained how Ravana was the symbol, how the physical strength and even the concept of tapasya and being granted a boon in return symbolizes bravery. Even you pointed out the character Jatayu, and the most astonishingly, which I liked the most, was Mother Sita. Indeed, that is why we say women are the symbol of power, strength, Shakti. Brave choices are made indeed by women only. You gave many illustrations with the chaupas from the Ramcharitmanas, and indeed, how the Indian immigrants remain brave enough in they were very constant in maintaining their culture and the religion in South Africa. This shows how the building of the bridge of Indian diaspora in South Africa was initiated at that time. Thank you very much, Pandit Rohit Maharajji. On this note itself, I would like to thank Pandit Ji for his exposé on how bravery, parakram illustrated as a virtue in the Ramayana has been able to serve as bridge to the Indian diaspora. The examples you enumerated were very relevant too. We thank you again, Pandit Rohit Maharajji. Moving forward with the exposés, I shall now have the pleasure to invite Professor Dr. Usha Shuklaji as our next speaker of today's webinar. Dr. Usha Shuklaji has served as professor at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. She has also served as president at the Hindi Shiksha Sangh, South Africa from 2016 to 2018. Dr. Usha Shuklaji has taught Hindi language at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. She has published 2 books based on the Ramcharitmanas for her master's and doctorate research. Firstly, Ramcharitmanas in South Africa, Ramcharitmanas in the diaspora, Trinidad, Mauritius, and South Africa. She has published numerous articles in accredited journals. She continues her voluntary community service in the fields of Hindi and Hindi culture. She has presented and read papers and chaired sessions at Ramayana conferences and Hindi conferences, amongst many others, both internationally and locally. Today, Dr. Usha Shuklaji shall elucidate on how Sri Ram was born for the welfare of the world. Without any further delay, I would now like to invite Dr. Usha Shuklaji for her expose. Dr. Usha Shuklaji, आपका स्वागत है.
Thank you very much, Tapsiji. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's audible. You can start.
Okay, I'm not coming on the screen, therefore I'm asking.
No,
I can't see my... Okay.
We can see you. We can see you. Okay.
Okay. My Naman and Ram Ram to the organizers, speakers, and listeners. I'd like to, Mrs. Sunita Pahujaji of the High Commission of Bharat to Mauritius, Sadar Pranam, and my Sadar and affectionate Ram Ram to Dr. Vinod Bala Arunji, President of the Ramayana Center. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share our thoughts on the theme Ramayana, the cultural bridge connecting the Indian diaspora to India. I applaud you, Vinuji, for arranging this webinar series that I'm certain would throw some new light and confirm that the theme is absolutely relevant for all times. Today, I remember very fondly Pandit Rajendra Arun of the Ramayana Center, the great Ram Bhakt scholar, and who worked like Hanumanji, Ram Kaaju Keen Hai Binu, Mohi Kaha Bisrama. There can be no rest for me until I have accomplished Sri Ram's work. Thank you, Vinuji, for continuing the great work you both are involved in. I acknowledge you, Vinuji, not only as his Ardhangini, but as a profound scholar in your own right. The Valmiki Ramayana spread to South and Southeast Asia, as we've already heard. And to date, different Ramayana versions have been published in many of these countries, like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Laos, China, etc., etc. So many, too many to mention. They've shadow plays in Indonesia, the Wayang Kulit, the puppet shows, the Dalang in Malaysia, the Lakon, Kon, and Nang of Thailand. For those who don't know these terms, these were the local Ram Leelas, and that's why they sound strange. These still attract thousands of tourists and locals annually. The Ramayana tradition is vibrant and permeates these countries, and their cultural link to India is very, very real. The Ramayana tradition is an integral part that grips people and community. The Ramayana tradition is an integral part of the South Asian life, as claimed by most scholars. What is it about the Ramayana that grips people and communities in this way? I have chosen the topic Ram was born for the welfare of the world, Ram Janamu Jagam Mangala Hetu, to answer this question. As we already know, the Sanskrit version traveled to South and Southeast Asia, and the Tulsi Ramayana in Hindi spread to the Girmitya countries from the 19th century. And to date, there are thousands of versions of Ramayana worldwide in most languages, and it's present in every single continent. And from my research on Ramcharitmanas in South Africa and of Trinidad, Mauritius, and South Africa, and also on Fiji, Suriname, and Guyana, I can boldly claim that the Ramayana is that Sanskritic setu, the cultural bridge that connects the Indian diaspora to Bharat. We will see that Sri Ram's advent or birth was indeed for the welfare of the world. Anything that is good for the world will endure and will remain everlasting. The inherent nature of the Ramayana, its intrinsic dharmic human values, morals and ethics, deep philosophy, its appealing story, the fact that it can be sung and set to music for performances, and most importantly, connects the devotee to Bhagwan. All these and much, much more attract Hindus and non-Hindus to the Ramayana. I'm going to try and highlight a few portions of the Ramayana text that encompass issues relevant for all of humankind. As we've already heard, the indentured Indians came to South Africa in 1860, and they came in terrible times across the Kalapani in unknown land amongst people of different languages and cultures. In harsh circumstances, it was most natural for them to have fond memories of life in Bharat. It was then that Tulsidas Ji's Ramcharitmanas gave them solace, peace, courage, and tolerance to bear the hardships and the ill treatment that they were subjected to, not only in South Africa, but in all the Girmitya countries. They were here for a minimum of 5 years, and the Ramcharitmanas was their only support, ekmatra sahara. All credit goes to the powerful oral tradition. While they were known to be illiterate, they knew many of the dohas and chopais by heart. The majority of the Girmityas came from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Bhojpuri and Awadhi were most widely spoken, so the importance of the origin of the Hindi-speaking immigrants lies in the fact that until the early 17th century, Tulsidas Ji himself traveled these areas disseminating his Ram Bhakti, which is detailed in his Ramcharitmanas. The Ramcharitmanas is a storehouse of Indian culture, tradition, human values, religion, philosophy, and history. And unlike other scriptures that were written in Sanskrit and not easy to understand, the Ramayana is written in the people's language of Awadhi with a theme that has been popularized in the oral tradition and understood by all. Hence, consequently, our dadas and dadis, nanas and nanis told the Ramayana stories to their grandchildren. The Ramcharitmanas fulfilled various needs of the early settlers. It was scripture and therefore a source of religious learning. The story with its various subplots, when read or heard, served as a pleasant diversion. It further served as a textbook for Hindi study. Indeed, it was like a multifaceted gem which represented India and reflected Indian life in its simplicity and variety. Those who sneaked in copies of the Ramcharitmanas to South Africa brought along with them a part of Bharat, and the Ramayana was therefore very close to the hearts of those who possessed it or heard it recited. And as time passed, the indentured Indians settled in their new environment, and they worked in the mines and sugarcane fields in the spirit of Ram ka naam liye ja aur apna kaam kiye ja. They found the name of Sri Ram spiritually elevating. Ram Ram was a popular form of greeting. There was hope in the Ramayana and in Sri Ram for all. Tulsidas Ji composed the Ramcharitmanas with his absolute bhakti to God in the form of Ram, as well as his views on ethical, moral, political, social, and other aspects of life. This bhakti and these teachings were ingrained in the minds of the Indians who came to South Africa, and this is what helped them to face the great challenges they experienced during indenture. These Girmityas were the true carriers of the Ram ethos, and we, their descendants, carry it to this day. The Ramayana was recited under trees. It was a source of divine knowledge in the spirit of Binu Satsanga Vivekana Hoi. There was divine socializing because there was no other entertainment. They loved Ramayana and they were drawn to it. To reminisce about Bharat was so natural. The relationship between the indentured Indians and the Ramayana is like that of the flower and its fragrance. Sugandha aur suman ki tarah. We cannot separate the two. Ramcharitmanas was the lifeline of our ancestors who came to South Africa. Hence, Sri Ram, Sri Sita, Sri Hanuman, amongst other dharmic characters, became the ideals for us to emulate. Hari ko bhajai so hari ka hoy. You worship God. He becomes yours, you become his. It's so simple. The Ramcharitmanas, especially Sri Ram, Sita, and Hanuman, its relevance and impact on the lives of the indentured Indians and their descendants is second to none. Sri Ram pervaded their lives and he gave them direction in life. He gave them life values knowledge of their culture and traditions, and religious knowledge as well. All credit to Tulsidas Ji and his way of writing the Ramcharitmanas. Sri Ram, Sita, and Lakshman. This is an important point. Were in Banwas, the Girmityas were in unknown lands. It was so similar. They also lived through difficult times in the spirit of Eka Bharoso, Eka Bal, Eka Asa Biswas, Eka Ram Ghanashyam Hita Chatak Tulsidas. They had one-pointed devotion to Sri Ram, their God. The children were taught about Sri Ram's character, the values he and other dharmic characters espoused, the challenges they faced, and today we draw lessons from every situation they were in, and that would make their lives of the present generation successful while rooted in our culture. If the Ramayana with its story and characters had and still has such a positive influence on a community, it has to be Mangalmay and Mangalkari, taking care of the welfare of the individual, the community, and the country. When Sri Ram played as a child in the courtyard of Dashrath, Tumakachalata Ramachandra, he was auspicious, Mangala Bhavana Amangala Hari, and brought joy to the family. He also got rid of inauspiciousness. When Bharat later went to Chitrakoot to convince Ram to return to Ayodhya, Guru Vashishta Ji says, and this is where I got my inspiration for this topic. Satya Sanda Palaka Shruti Setu, Rama Janamu Jaga Mangala Hetu. Shri Ram is true to his word and maintains the standard of morality set up by the Vedas. His very advent is a source of blessing to the world. He was born for the welfare of the world, and what is good for the world will remain with the world. Throughout the Ramcharitmanas, Sri Ram is described as the upholder of Dharma and the embodiment of Dharma. And because of his adherence to Dharma, Sri Ram's story has more appeal to us at a human level, because he acted and behaved in situations like an ordinary man, so that you and I, all of us, could learn from his actions and emulate him. Ram Avatar occurred in a period when Ravan and other Rakshasas inflicted evils upon mankind. Godhead has the quality of being all-powerful, and Sri Ram therefore could have restored Dharma instantly. But if he did that, what lesson would there have been for you and me today? Everything that he did teaches us a lesson. That is why I feel that the Ramcharitmanas is very didactic in its appeal. What did the Lord choose to do? Tulsidas Ji draws our attention to it. He says, Bhagata hetu Bhagavan Prabhu, Rama dhare utanubhup, kiye charita pavana param, prakrita nara anurup. For the sake of his devotees, the blessed Lord Ram assumed the form of an earthly sovereign and played his most holy part in the manner of an ordinary man. It is therefore clear to all of us that Sri Ram Avatar took place out of compassion to serve his devotees and the world at large. I hope we can learn a lesson from that. Later, Sri Ram restored dharmic rule in Kishkindha and in Lanka, taking care of the welfare of those communities. Did he want the golden Lanka for himself? No, because he said, Janani Janmabhumischa Swaragadapi Gariyasi, that the mother and the motherland are greater than heaven itself. Sri Ram exercises power with humility, but without greed. He never usurped or never took what was not his. Ram Avatar is remarkably pertinent and relevant where the depressed masses yearn for a compassionate and merciful God to alleviate their hardships. Dear listeners, even today in COVID times, when the pandemic is wreaking havoc globally, people are praying, attending conferences like this one, and Ramayana Pravachans, singing Bhagwan Shri Ram's praises for the ocean of Karuna, compassion, and Kripa, mercy, can feel their joys and sorrows. Parahita sarisa dharamanahi bhai, parapira samanahi adhamai, meaning that there is no virtue like caring for others and no meanness like oppressing others. Sri Ram rescued Ahilya and Ma Shabari from their agony, and we learn many lessons on human dignity, bhakti, equality of human beings, and empowerment of women from these episodes. And we must remember that young minds today engage in these topics. His righteous conduct in the face of hardship helped inspire them to face their own problems while aspiring towards God or moksha. Same with the intention of the Indians and same with us today. The physical world is part of Brahman. Sri Ram's Lok Mangal ki Bhavana, that is his devotion and dedication to the welfare of the physical world, is worthy of mention. According to Tulsidas Ji, his world is a means to attaining Ram and should not be looked upon only as a place for attachment and bondage. Any person who wishes to end his karmic cycle needs the world and his human body. So we are indeed fortunate to have secured a human body. Bade bhaga manushyata na pawa. So one needs the world to free oneself from it, like one needs the body to free oneself from it. Both the world and the body are gateways to moksha. In fact, Tulsidas reveres the world since he believes it to be a part of God, and Siya Ramame infused with Sri Ram and Sita, as Vinodji mentioned in her introductory remarks. Siya Ramame sabajagajani karo pranam jori jugapani. The Jivatma is part of God or Brahman and must therefore be indestructible and reflect the qualities of Godhead as seen from the following line. Ishvara amsha jiva avinashi, chetana amala sahaja sukarashi, that the soul is a particle of divinity. If each one of us is a part of God, you and you and you and I, we're all part of God, then we are all intrinsically connected, and hence the saying, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. And we must remember that we cannot value Sri Ram on one hand and not value human beings around us on the other. We are a part of the divine, so we ought to have the Lord's qualities and values. We ought to care for each other, have each other's welfare at heart. We may not be omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, but we can be good, kind, caring, generous, loving, like Sri Ram and Sita, Bharat, Lakshman, and Hanuman, and a host of other good characters. The good characters served others and never themselves. This is our duty. Like all avatars, Sri Ram led a selfless life for the benefit of others, to uplift all his devotees for the welfare of the world. He lived solely for the world, never for himself. All great men and women like Swami Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, Ma Sharda Devi, etc., 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 lived a life of significance for the welfare of the people, community, and the country. And to mention very briefly, Sita Ji lived for her Lord, but never ceased to leave us a legacy of the ideal wife, as well as ideal in all her relationships. Lakshman left his wife for 14 years. Bharat left the comforts of his palace, his wife and family, and lived like a hermit in Nandigram. Hanumanji, the perfect devotee, served Sri Ram so selflessly, and his only desire was to serve the Lord eternally. He did not even ask for moksha. That was the greatest bhakt, Hanumanji. This is the selfless service, the Nishkam Seva, which I would also term Mangalmay Seva, which is good for the welfare of the world. And unlike the great scholar, as Rohitji had mentioned earlier, unlike the great scholar Ravan, who is left tainted eternally. And why? For his vile deeds, his craving for power and control, and lowly conduct and arrogance. Ravan's own ego destroyed him. And just quickly, in conclusion, I would like to say that today we hanker for Ram Rajya, the perfect rule of Sri Ram, in which the ruler and the ruled were all happy. And this just reminds me that we're all looking very much forward to the construction of the Ram Mandir. We just can't wait for it to happen. With all the challenges throughout the Ramcharitmanas, the welfare of society and the country was finally achieved. Ultimately, the Ramayana itself is Mangalmay for us. Not just Sri Ram and Sita, but the Ramayana itself is good for the welfare of the world and mankind. Tulsidas ji says, Kirati Bhaniti Bhuti Bhali Soi, Surasari Ram Sab Kahi Hoi. Ramayana is like the celestial river Ganga that is conducive to the welfare of all. And finally, when Valmiki wrote about Brahma's boon to the Ramayana, Yavad sthasayanti girayah saritascha mahitale tavad Ramayana katha lokeshu pracharishyati. As long as the mountains stand and the rivers flow on earth, so long will Ram Katha live on, Ramayana will live on. It pointed to the present status of the Ramayana and Ram Bhakti. The Ram Katha, that is the Ramayana, carries the seeds of its own immortality within itself. It's within it, nurtured by devout people everywhere. And that is why I applaud Vinoji for bringing out this particular theme of the Ramayana being connecting the diaspora countries to India. But I'd like to go further and say that it's not just the diaspora, not just to India. The Ramayana connects country to country. I feel connected to Mauritius. Why? Because of Ramcharitmanas. That's where I've come. That's where I've done research. That's where it all, indeed, the Ramayana is alive. It's a living document in all these countries. So, Jai Shri Ram and Jai Ramayana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ushaji. Thank you very much for your expose. You introduced us how the Ramayana as a tradition is present in different parts of the world, which many of us might not have known since long. The Ramayana is much more than a literature. You even talked on the historical aspects of the transit of Indian immigrants to South Africa. Ramayana has restored the tradition and culture among Indian immigrants community then and now. Ramcharitmanas were close to their hearts and made it they made it the manual of their lives. Credit, of course, all the credit goes to Goswami Tulsidas. The values and ethics that were enumerated in the Ramayana eventually shaped an individual in the proper manner. Lord Ram, as you said, has been depicted as the embodiment of Dharma. Ramcharitmanas is indeed a didactic in its appeal. You even pointed out that Lord Ram is the embodiment of compassion. There is no doubt in it. Even his name, Ram, means Anandadayak, as we all know. The concept of Lok Mangal and the whole world is a family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, was and is and will be always relevant. You have pointed out your views with several examples. So it was really remarkable, Dr. Ushaji. Many thanks to you for your beautiful presentation. We got the opportunity to hear from you and believe that you shall be always ready to share more such views with us in future endeavors. Thank you again, Dr. Ushaji. We have now amidst us Dr. Lokesh Ramnath Maharaj ji also to share his valuable views and concepts on the related topic. Dr. Lokesh Ramnath Maharaj ji has been lecturing at UKZN for past 18 years. His research is mainly located in the interdisciplinary field of curriculum and religion. Dr. Lokesh Ramnath Maharaj ji has presented papers at both national and international conferences. He actively participates in various yoga discussion panels and activities. He has participated in a panel discussing on Vishwa Samvad Shrinkala World Dialogue series organized by the World Hindi Secretariat of Mauritius and India. He is also a recognized religious leader and religious scholar by the National Broadcaster, South Africa. He has actively participated in discussions organized by SAFMS, Facts of Faith on Cultural Appropriation, Law of Karma, and Surrogacy from a Hindu perspective. Dr. Lokesh Maharaji has his PhD in the Bhagavad Gita. As head of the Priests Council of the South African Hindu Mahasabha, he has participated in their priest accreditation application to the South African Qualifications Authority. Dr. Lokesh Ramnath Maharaji shall emphasize on the most revered servant of Lord Ram, Hanuman, the Ram Setu between the Indian diaspora and India. Without any further delay, I shall now invite Dr. Lokesh ji to present his views. Dr. Lokesh Maharaji, please.
Jai Shri Ram. Dr. Arun, Shri Sahil ji, माननीय सुनीता जी और अन्य भक्तजनों को मेरा सादर प्रणाम। इस वेबिनार में मुझे शामिल करने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। So Dr. Arun began this session in which she said that invitations were forwarded to us through Professor Shukla. Ma'am, we have absolutely no problem with that because I firmly believe कि जब राम का बुलावा आया है तो हमें दौड़कर उस जगह पर जाना है. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share my thoughts today on Hanuman and how he has become the bridge between the Indian diaspora and India. I want to begin with a quotation by Professor Anantanand Rampachan, who wrote, "Every religious tradition holds its saints in lofty esteem and looks to them as examples worthy of emulation. The lives of saints are important because they remind us of goals which are truly significant and worthy of our dedication. They are close to us because they struggle with and triumph over the same obstacles and difficulties with which we are confronted." Hanuman has been described as one of the complete figures of saintliness in the literature of Hindu Dharma. Hanuman's life was one of total surrender to the will of God, but he did not withdraw from active involvement in the world. Hanuman is therefore an outstanding example of spiritual life in action. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjun displays a flag with the emblem of Hanuman. Hanuman represents the same ideal Sri Krishna has presented to Arjun in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita teaches a life of action in the world, free from selfishness and dedicated to the will of God. According to Ram Bachan, Hanuman is one of our finest embodiments of this vision. Hanuman has earned an important place in Hindu worship. In the beginning, he was used as a medium by worshippers to get closer to Ram. However, as time went on, he came to be worshipped in his own right. The golden age of Hindi literature was the Bhakti or the devotion period. From the 15th century onwards, personalities such as Swami Ramanand, Goswami Tulsidas, and Surdas began to write literature in a language understood by the masses. This promoted the Vaishnava Bhakti movement in northern India. Swami Ramanand popularized Vaishnava Bhakti among the northerners by moving away from Sanskrit to a language, Hindi, that all people understood. He paid the greatest homage to Hanuman as a Vaishnava in the Hanuman Arti. In later years, Goswami Tulsidas, through the Ramcharitmanas, inspired devotion in the masses, not only to Ram, but also toward Hanuman. The plethora of literature on Hanuman describes the life of Hanuman, the single-minded devotee of Sri Ram, as a model, an inspiration, and an impetus to the devotees and the learned that have subdued their senses. Hanuman is described as the personification of heroism and a living image of energy and physical strength. He is revered. He is the revered idol of those who engage in wrestling and physical culture. Now, during apartheid in South Africa, the apartheid government's philosophy of separate development brought about a massive dislocation of the Hindu community. And this did not, however, prevent the indentured Hindu from their divine socializing. So, for example, a huge image of Hanuman has been erected by the Sri Vishnu Temple Trust in Chatsworth, South Africa. In 2002, the Department of Indian Languages from the former University of Durban West held a Ramayana conference. In April 2003, the Ramakrishna Center and Divine Life Society, in collaboration with Vishwa Sahitya Sanskriti Sansthan, Delhi, held a 3-day Hanuman conference in South Africa. Again, the Sri Vishnu Temple Trust hosted a Hanuman conference in Chatsworth in 2012. The Chinmaya Mission of South Africa held discourses on the Hanuman Chalisa in June 2012. And in 2014, they hosted for the third time a successful chanting of the Hanuman Chalisa at the Curry's Fountain Sports Ground in Durban, South Africa, where some 5,000 people came together to chant the Hanuman Chalisa. So the Hanuman Chalisa has emerged as a powerful mantra to people across linguistic and cultural variations in South Africa. Now, given the preceding information that I have shared with you, I conducted empirical research involving questionnaires with first, second, third, and fourth year education students at a tertiary institution in South Africa. All these students were either fourth or fifth generation South African Hindus. The students were asked, how did they first acquaint themselves with the Hanuman Chalisa? And it was found that 34.5% had heard about Hanuman Chalisa from their parents, 10.3% from their family, 6.9% from friends, 27.6% from religious organizations, and 3.4% from the study of Hindi, and 13.8% first acquainted themselves with the Hanuman Chalisa from satsangs. So what these statistics indicate is that the parents and families' important role in transmitting religious scriptures. The followers of Sanatan Dharma have faced the onslaughts from the indignation imposed by foreign rulers for many centuries. So, for example, Professor Pandurang Vaman Khane, who wrote History of Dharma Shastras, says that among the numerous civilizations and cultures that flourished in the world, there are only two, namely the Indian and the Chinese, that have survived and kept up the continuity of tradition for 4,000 years, if not more, despite recurrent invasions by foreign hordes, like those by the Persians, Greeks, Huns, Turks. And they managed to do this notwithstanding internal conflicts and convulsions. India absorbed such people and made many Greeks and other foreigners adopt the spiritual ideologies of India and find their place in the Indian social fabric, unquote. However, the inherent strength of Sanatan culture, it is believed, helped its followers withstand these onslaughts. According to Shukla, even though the followers of Sanatan Dharma in the 19th century were unlettered, Sanatan Dharma has survived due to the oral tradition, a point which was alluded to earlier also, which has preserved the religio-cultural heritage of Sanatan Dharma. And I quote from Shukla, history has evinced that by virtue of this oral tradition and through literature, Hindus have carried with them their profound religious and cultural traditions to whichever part of the world they have set. Similarly, Swami Chinmayananda states, our Bharatiya culture, as expressed through Hinduism, never died through all these millennia, only because our culture had the required elasticity to embrace all the new dimensions into which our society grew during the march of time. Unquote. Therefore, it is not surprising that in my study, 44.8% of the participants indicated that their first acquaintance with the Hanuman Chalisa was either through their parents or family. According to an author Littler, parents and grandparents have exercised a notable and positive influence on young people between the ages of 8 and 14. And I quote Littler, who says, if grandparents are regular churchgoers, and we can replace the word churchgoer by temple or anything else, then 61% of young teenagers are also likely to be regular attenders, with a further 18% attending occasionally. The example of the grandparents, parents, teachers, and elders in society is crucial in restoring morality in society. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40, says that in the ruin of the family, its ancient laws are destroyed. Radhakrishnan reminds us that Radhakrishnan then says that this in turn leads to the whole family yielding to lawlessness. It is indeed commendable that some 160 years after the arrival of our ancestors in South Africa, the Hanuman Chalisa remains popular. So how important is the Hanuman Chalisa 160 years after its arrival in South Africa? And the results from my study show that 63.4% found the Hanuman Chalisa to be very important, while 26% or 26.8% considered it important. So the Hanuman Chalisa contains the glory of Hanuman's service and devotion to Sri Ram. The Hanuman Chalisa is a Hindi poem written by Mahakavi Goswami Tulsidas in the 16th century in praise of Sri Hanuman. So there's a legend related to the composition of the Hanuman Chalisa. Once, Tulsidas went to meet Emperor Akbar in Delhi after having had darshan or vision of Sri Ram. The emperor challenged Tulsidas to show Sri Ram to him. He was imprisoned when Tulsidas replied that it was impossible to see Sri Ram without true devotion. In prison, Tulsidas wrote the beautiful verses of the Hanuman Chalisa on Sri Hanuman. When he completed the Hanuman Chalisa in prison, an army of monkeys menaced the city of Delhi. The emperor unsuccessfully tried to control the monkeys with his forces. Finally, the emperor realized that the monkey menace was a manifestation of the wrath of Hanuman. He released Tulsidas, and the monkeys stopped their mischief immediately. It would seem then that the Hanuman Chalisa is a popular form of prayer to Hanuman. This legend shows the important role that Hanuman Chalisa can play in a person's life if it is chanted with full devotion. Participants in my study were asked to comment on the quality of their life concerning the Hanuman Chalisa. About 67% of the participants indicated that they feel more religious after having read the Hanuman Chalisa. And 40% indicated that the introduction of the Hanuman Chalisa into their lives had left them with a far more positive feeling. And about 73% indicated that the Hanuman Chalisa has contributed to them becoming better individuals. Participants were asked to explain their inner feelings about the Hanuman Chalisa as a follow-up question. The responses ranged from feelings of safety to protection to spiritual satisfaction. What then is the relevance of the Hanuman Chalisa in the 21st century? And about 97% of the participants indicated that the Hanuman Chalisa was relevant for all times. My own view is that the Hanuman Chalisa is more relevant today than it perhaps was during Tulsidas' time. The issue of moral degeneration is becoming the center of focus worldwide. For example, authors Sherif reported on an increase in cyber violence through text messages or video filming on cell phones, online chat rooms, web blogs, and websites. With
potential sexual harassment. The participants, in declaring that the Hanuman Chalisa is relevant for all times, are perhaps alluding to the Hanuman Chalisa's positive contribution towards a program of moral regeneration. In the present degenerate climate, recitation of the Hanuman Chalisa has the potential to liberate us from the corrupt influences of the material world. However, the mechanical recitation of the Hanuman Chalisa is not bound to have much of a positive impact. What is required is a thorough understanding of the Hanuman Chalisa. The indentured laborers came to South Africa with few possessions, and we've heard that already. They survived based on their spiritual and cultural wealth, despite the hard conditions of indenture. According to Shukla, the Hindi indentured workers brought all the knowledge and spirituality in the Ramcharitmanas. She confirms further that Hanuman is worshipped throughout the Hindu world, increasingly in his own right and often with Sri Ram. When India was suffering from the indignities imposed by foreign rulers, Goswami Tulsidas composed the Hanuman Chalisa, Hanuman Bahuk, Sankat Mochan, and other eulogies of Hanuman to infuse new hope into the lives of Hindus. He also consecrated...
Dr. Lokeshji, we cannot hear you well. Could you please, your mic, hold your mic,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Is that fine? He also
Better,
consecrated
better.
the Sankat Mochan temple in Varanasi with the same intention, and through his disciples, he spread the gospel of Hanuman Bhakti. The data presented above indicate great devotion and veneration for Hanuman and the Hanuman Chalisa. The participants who participated in the study consider Hanuman God and the Hanuman Chalisa holy scripture. They can read, write, sing, and recite the Hanuman Chalisa, with some able to do so by heart. Therefore, it would be safe to conclude that Hanuman is and continues to be the setu, or the bridge between the Indian diaspora and India. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lokesh Maharajji. Thank you very much for your expose. As your topic was on Hanuman and Hanuman as a model of devotion, you pointed out very clearly how several religious institutions and NGOs of South Africa organized events on Hanuman and the Hanuman Chalisa being chanting. Even in Mauritius and other places in the world, Hanuman Chalisa is very, very famous. Let's say half of the community have already learned Hanuman Chalisa, and in every yard of a Hindu family, you will find the flags, the dhwaja flying in their yards, and a little temple where the Hanuman has been established, or they have put their small idol of Hanuman, and daily they pray Lord Hanuman. And finally, how you elaborated on the concept of Bhakti and Bhagwan somehow or other paves the setu for the Indian diaspora to flourish around the world. Of course, Dr. Lokeshji, we thank you very much. We extend our thankfulness and gratitude towards you. You beautifully described the bridge of the Indian diaspora with the parable of Hanuman. Thank you again, Dr. Lokesh Ramnath Maharajji, for your laudable presentation. We now come an end to our today's webinar, and on behalf of all participants and the Ramayana Center Mauritius, I express my gratitude towards all the speakers for their valuable views, ideas. Indeed, each webinar has its own specificity, and each time we have more than enough to grasp and learn through the Ramayana, which is undoubtedly a firm and strong bridge which helps in transporting the Indian diaspora in every corner of the world. Thank you all once again. I shall now invite Mr. Prakash Jagaru, the Secretary of Ramayana Center, Mauritius, to do the vote of thanks. Please, Mr. Prakash Jagaru. Unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Yes, Jai Shri Ram. Thank you, Salilji. Indeed, this was a very enlightening session. We learned a lot about South Africa and how our ancestors took inspiration, motivation, and got the strength to undergo all the hardships and sufferings from the Manas, and also how it is one of the most powerful and effective tools to sustain, nourish, and nurture their culture. I thank Professor Shukla, Dr. Lokesh Maharaj, and Mr. Rohit Maharaj for sharing their precious time and knowledge. I also pay my gratitude to Her Excellency, Mrs. Nandini Singla Ji, Mrs. Sunita Pahuja, the Second Secretary of Language and Culture, and the Indian High Commission for collaborating with us. A big thank you goes to Mr. Nivesh and Mrs. Shweta of Ramayana Center for their technical assistance. On behalf of Ramayana Center and my behalf, I thank Selil Topasiji for wholeheartedly accepting to moderate this webinar and for doing a wonderful job. My thanks goes to all of you, dear brothers and sisters who are connected with us. We hope that a series of seminars organized in the context of the celebration of the 75th anniversary of independence of India will help pay tribute to all ancestors and all those contributing towards strengthening the bond between Indian diaspora and Mother India. We will let you know about the next seminar very soon. Till then, Jai Shri Ram.